Hey, what's up, everyone? This is Mark Abbott, and today I'm going to talk to you about two things. The first one is where the whole argument between natural athletes and enhanced or steroid using athletes, I think enhanced is a better word because then it's not just steroids. Anyway, and then I'm going to go into sort of how and if you can tell if someone's on steroids, the very, very basics of that. So I'm going to try and keep this video short because there's a lot of content there. So I'm going to try and keep it short. Let's go into where the whole natural versus enhanced athlete argument came from. For thousands, hundreds of thousands, millions of years, humans have been competing with each other, whether it was racing to that rock and back to show your athletic prowess over another guy so you could get the girl, or whether it was to wrestle to impress an emperor, whatever it was, we've been competing for a long time. But it was only over the last 100 years where we've been standardizing competition properly, rule sets, regulations, and also we've had the introduction of a lot of different drugs and substances that can enhance human performance. However, in the realm of professional sports, we tend not to talk about natural and enhanced. That's not really a thing. We just say, well, he cheated or he didn't cheat. And what I mean by that is when you sign up for a competition, you sign up and say, well, I'm going to compete under this rule set. I'm not going to take this. I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to do the other. And if you go and do that, you're a cheat. So for example, if you're a cyclist and you put in a motor, they put motors in their frames, and that kind of helps with the power output, you're a cheat. You don't have an enhanced bicycle, you're a cheat. You cheated. Ben Johnson wasn't enhanced. They said he cheated. I mean, we won't go into this, but Carl Lewis in the same race ran out of his lane twice, which is grounds. Just do it once, and that's disqualification in the 100 meters. So he shouldn't have that gold medal he's got at home, but we won't go into that one there. So you were in professional sports, you're not an enhanced athlete or a non-enhanced athlete. They just said you cheated, right? Reminds me of two different sporting events. One would be Lance Armstrong. No one said that he was enhanced. They just called him a cheat, right? Granted, everyone else in the 90s was cheating in cycling as well. So at least it was fair, but they didn't say he was enhanced. They said he was cheating. They didn't say he was racing against natties or natural athletes. Let's look at the UFC. Bones Jones was caught taking cocaine. He was caught with cocaine in his system. Diaz was caught with marijuana in his system. One got a suspension, the other one didn't. And all these people lost their minds. Oh my God, marijuana's way better, man. It's like therapeutic. It's like, all right, guys, if you had actually bothered to read a bit more than the tweet about it, you would have realized that most athletic organizations or any kind of administration will have agency will have a banned substance list for all year round, and they'll have banned substances for during competition. So for example, alcohol. Michael Bisping likes to have a beer. You can drink. If you're a boxer, you're a fighter, you can drink. But you're not allowed to drink and then go and fight. You're not allowed to go into the cage or into the ring drunk, right? It's banned in competition. Marijuana and cocaine are the same. Cocaine, Bones Jones was caught when he didn't have a fight. So yeah, it was illegal, but it wasn't a banned substance for athletic enhancement that he was taking. Whereas marijuana, Diaz went in there. They found so much marijuana in his system, they said you must have been actually really, really high whilst fighting. That was why one got a suspension and the other one didn't get a suspension. So the list of drugs that you can take and not take and be caught a cheat or not a cheat is really, really nuanced. There's a lot of depth behind it. If someone takes modafinil, Ritalin, or Adderall, that's actually banned. A lot of people wouldn't consider someone to be an enhanced athlete if they were taking that. But that's in the realm of competitive professional sports. Really, when we look at the argument between natties and enhanced athletes, we're talking about YouTubers. Let's be honest here. We're talking about YouTubers. We're talking about influencers on Instagram. I'm 34 years old, so I've been around for a lot longer than a lot of people in the YouTube world. I've been doing most of my content in Thai, but I saw the sort of the beginnings of this argument, and it goes a little something like this. Mr. A put out some video content. This is the way you work out. This is how you train. Mr. B put out content. This is the way you work out. This is the way you train. Everyone's competing for that, slice of the financial pie. They want to get the views in. They get the view count up. They can get sponsorship coming in. They can get money rolling in. They can get fame, popularity, and that's what everyone wanted. Between these two people here, Mr. B just looked way, way better. So a lot of people are like, well, I'm going to believe Mr. B. If Mr. A and Mr. B don't agree on something, I'm going to go with the guy who looks a lot better. So Mr. A didn't feel good about that. So he said, well, actually, I know more, but Mr. B is on steroids. Mr. B then turned around and said, bro, yeah, but I'm still been training for 12 years, discipline, hard work, nutrition. I know more than you. The fact that I've taken steroids is not the difference. The difference is bigger than just the steroids I've taken. Don't disrespect all my hard work and discipline. And yeah, solid point there. So they then sort of separated. It's like, okay, well, you follow me if you want to be natural, and you follow me if you want to be enhanced. And that wasn't really the problem. The problem was when the fake natties slipped in the middle there. Generally speaking, for better or for worse, there's more money in the natural realm. And that's because, for two reasons. First of all, I would argue that the majority of people in the world don't want to take steroids just because they're not passionate enough about training to do it. So your market is a lot bigger of people who don't want to take steroids. I would also say that there's more money from sponsorship in the naturals because supplement companies, clothing companies, cycling, bicycles, whatever it is, they're more likely to want, their marketing program will normally be towards the natural athletes. Again, I'm not going to say whether that's good or bad. That's just the way it rolls. So these fake naturals rolled in, and they wanted to get the money from the natural side, but they wanted to be the top end. They wanted to look like the sort of the apex, the pinnacle of human performance and natural training. So what they did was they claimed to be natural. They took much, much lower doses. They claimed to be natural. Now, they actually pissed off both sides. The enhanced guys were like, dude, if you're taking steroids, at least admit it. And then this side was saying, bro, you're not natural. Stop trying to claim to be natural and mislead people. And that's kind of where this whole shit show of an argument came about. I can't see it getting any better. For those of you who understand, I work with the Thai Powerlifting Federation. We work with DCAT, as the Doping Control Agency of Thailand, going around knocking on people's doors and just testing random YouTubers for metabolites for different drugs it's not a thing. You can't do that. You can't run around and just test people. So the argument, in my opinion, was kind of amusing. I couldn't really care less if someone's taking steroids or if they're natural. I think that the argument is a little bit stupid. Well, not stupid, I wouldn't say that. I would say the argument's a bit unnecessary. That's a bit one. It's unnecessary. So right now, because we can't test people, what we do is we try to eyeball it. We try to sort of speculate, and boy, do we speculate. We have a look at people and we decide whether they're taking steroids, whether they're not taking steroids. Some people believe everyone's on steroids. Then you got the guys who don't believe anyone's on steroids, and then we go, well, how do you tell if someone's on steroids? So I'm going to go through a few bits and pieces here just to give you hopefully help you out a little bit in understanding that it's really hard to tell, but there are a few giveaways here and there. The best giveaways would be predominantly in the realm of people training to look good, but not necessarily professional athletes. Okay. The reason for that is professional athletes. Lance Armstrong, you wouldn't look at that guy walking down the street and be like, whoa, he's juiced up. You wouldn't know because he's on such small doses. I mean, he would have been on something like 120, 140 milligrams of testosterone a week, which if you say that in a bro website, they'll be like, nah, man, he would, why would you even be on anything less than like 300 or 400 or 500 because you just suppress your own levels and you wouldn't gain anything. Well, those guys are ridiculously retarded. What really goes on is when you have these ultra endurance athletes, a guy like Lance Armstrong, on the bike 6, 7, 8 hours a day, it suppresses their natural testosterone levels, and they want to bring those back up into the normal range. They don't want to bring it above that. And the reason they want the normal range because it can improve their recovery, it improves their mood, their focus, their drive. A lot of beneficial things come from putting it in the healthy range. If they go above that, the issue is this: when you're burning 6,000-7,000 calories a day from training, the chance that you could accidentally overeat by 1,000 calories is really high. So if you think about it, people who are eating, trying to eat 2,200 calories a day, they could easily eyeball it or miscalculate things by 200 or 300 calories. But when you're up at the 6,000-7,000 calorie range, you could easily overshoot it by 1,000 easily. Trust me. I mean, on some days I go well over 5,000 calories, and you can easily eyeball that wrong. You can easily get it wrong. Now, if your testosterone is really elevated and you go 1,000 calories over, you're going to gain weight. You will definitely gain weight. Now, cyclists are cutting their nails to keep weight down. So if they on something that's going to ramp up their weight, it's really a problem. So they'll be on such small doses, you wouldn't even be able to tell they're on steroids. So for professional athletes, it tends to be very, very difficult. You're looking at physical specimens of people. You're looking at people who are taking such small doses, you wouldn't even really be able to tell. But it's a lot easier to tell when you're having someone who goes to the gym to look good. YouTubers, Instagrammers, these guys there, it's a lot simpler to tell them what normally happens, right? So I always call it the rule of three. You have a few different, I wouldn't call them side effects, but effects from steroids. Some are side effects, some are just effects. And you can't look at one of them and go, he's on the juice, because that's not entirely accurate. So for example, back knee, which is back acne. Some people go, he's got back knee, he's on the gas. Well, I know a lot of people who have back knee and they just drink and smoke and they don't train. It's very normal for some people to get that. Gyno, I've got two friends of mine actually have gyno, and they are not taking anything. If they were taking something, they'd want their money back. One of them doesn't train at all. So guys can have that. Premature balding. Some guys start balding at 22 years old, and that kind of sucks a bit, but unless you look good with a shaved head, check that out. Some people look good with a shaved head, they start balding. Wow, look magical. But generally, so what I'm saying is when you have these side effects or these things that you can look at, reddish skin from elevated HCT levels, which is your red blood cells are going up. HCT percentage goes up from maybe 43, 44 up to about 50%. That can give you a reddish tinge to the skin, which may look a little bit like their blood pressure is a bit high, but they still look healthy, which is a bit strange. That can easily happen with someone with pale skin in a hot country. So all these side effects tend to be something that you got to look at them all together. And I always say the rule of three. If you suspect someone's on steroids and they have sort of three of these effects, then you're probably right. So the larger deltoids, the 3D deltoids and the traps, androgen receptors, yeah, that happens. They get bigger. When they come off cycle, they deflate. The deeper voice, if they're on large doses, the bigger, stronger, and leaner all at the same time doesn't happen naturally. We look at the Venn diagram. So I always say to people, big, ripped, and natural. You get to pick two. If you're big and ripped, baby, you ain't natural. If you're big and natural, sorry, but you're not ripped. If you're ripped and natural, then you ain't very big. So big, ripped, and natural, pick two. That tends to be a very, very good rule of thumb. So yeah, you got the back knee, the gyno, the large shoulders, the reddish tinge to the skin, the hair that looks both dry and greasy at the same time. Sounds a bit contradictory, but that's a thing. It's got this very, very interesting quality to it. All of these things involved here will help make a decision whether that person's probably taking some kind of a testosterone supplement or some kind of a steroid, some steroids or not. A big one as well is this: every 3 to 6 months they get injured, right? And when they get injured, I don't want to call people out because they just become a shit show, but when they get injured, what happens is, so they get injured every 3 to 6 months, which it just happens to be as long as a steroid cycle is. Then they start looking like a normal human being again. They start looking very, very natural. They just look softer. Their deltoids just look more normal. They look good, but they look way, way more normal. They just look softer. They just look like more of a normal human being. And then they're kind of like fixing themselves. Or sometimes you'll see them in the gym and they're wearing a hoodie with the lifting belt over the hoodie because they're trying to cover themselves up a bit. And then when they go back on cycle, they'll say that they're now better from their injury, and they'll just get the progression back to where they were is just like they just get strong and ripped and they look amazing. And sure enough, 3 to 6 months later, they get another injury. So the cyclical nature of steroids is something that's very, very clear. Whereas a natural athlete, they will have ups and downs. They will definitely have this sort of undulating appearance, because they're going to be training for a race or for a competition. They'll lose motivation from time to time, and they'll really be motivated. Work will come in and get in the way of their training. But generally speaking, it's kind of like this, whereas enhanced athletes, you see much more of this. And then the injury, but a lot of them will claim it's injury or getting sick or something like that. So again, look, these are some things that it's still so inaccurate to use these, because some people are freaks. Some people just look amazing. Some people do have the discipline that they're putting out there. Some people train every day like a machine, and then they weigh their food and they sleep well and they don't drink, and you're not going to be able to tell whether they're taking steroids or not. So I always think that it's amusing when we have this big argument, because I don't think the argument should take place. If you're a natural athlete, don't be judging people on steroids. That's so stupid to judge people on steroids. It's like this: when you go out drinking and a guy who doesn't drink judges you, it's like, I don't want to put poison in my body. You can't help but think, shut the fuck up, right? You just like, stop judging me. You're not better than me. I'm having a beer. I'm having fun. I'm doing my thing. Well, then when you go and judge a guy on steroids, you don't know his background, his story, why he's doing it, what he's about. You don't know his knowledge. You don't know his background. So to judge him on that, don't do it. The only thing I won't really want everyone to sort of do, which the only thing, my one sort of solid stance on this, is the children. I sound like we've got to be a bit careful of the children here. If you're telling people that overtraining's not real, okay, a lot of the times it's to, inspire people to train harder. But if you're doing 1,500 milligrams of testosterone a week, sleeping 12 hours a day, 15 IUs of growth hormone, 8,000 calories, and insulin, you're just smashing it. And then you're training for 4, 5, 6, 7 hours a day in the gym. And then you turn around to a 16-year-old natural kid and say overtraining's not real. That's irresponsible. I remember putting out a $3,000 challenge for people who said overtraining wasn't real. It was, train with me for a month. If you don't go to hospital, give you $3,000. No one came forward, so then I upped it to $30,000, and still no one came forward. I would have done this. I would have taken them for a 200-kilometer bike ride and a 50-kilometer run on the first day. That's 120 mile bike ride, and then a 30-mile run. And then I would have done the same on day 2 and day 3 until they broke. I mean, I couldn't do that for a month. That would have definitely murdered me as well. But I just think that somebody thinks overtraining is not real probably would have broken before me. Overtraining is real. It is real, especially when you're running. We just need to be very, very cognizant of children. We need to be understanding that they're growing. They have homework. They may be getting a lack of sleep. Where their testosterone levels are, where their hormone levels are in whole, what their diet is like, and be responsible when we start giving advice to the youngsters. That's it. If people want to go on steroids, the biggest advice I can give is you get what you pay for. If you get a cycle off the internet for free, you will most likely look like a swollen testicle, and everything will just not look very good. If you want to do it right. Full blood checks, blood analysis, health checks, get a really good reputable coach, and do it right. If you're going to do something, do it right. Pay for it. It's not cheap. If you're just going to start going and injecting random things, or you think that taking a pill is better for you than injecting something because needles can't be good, then steroids aren't for you, at least at this point here. So, all right, guys, that's kind of it from me. The argument between naturals and enhanced athletes never really needed to take place, but it did, and I don't think it's going to end just because of the fake natties. The way to tell if someone's on steroids or not, incredibly difficult. Don't bother asking people. In most places, steroids are illegal. I don't think they should be illegal, but they are. So if you're asking someone if they're taking steroids, they're either going to admit to breaking the law or not, and that's kind of a strange thing to ask someone. Or if you're asking someone, you already made your mind up, haven't you? You think, this person takes steroids. That's what they do. So you've made your mind up, and if they confirm what you've said, then you've learnt nothing new. If they deny it, then you just think that they're not telling the truth. So what was the point in asking them in the first place? So don't bother with that. Keep training. Keep doing your own thing. That's the deal that I have for this video here. like, comment, dislike is fine. I'm all good with dislikes. If you're gonna troll, that's great. I do appreciate trolls. They do definitely make me enjoy reading the way 12-year-olds are thinking today, and what our future is going to be like. Because at the end of the day, I'm not going to reply. I've got more things to do in my life than to reply to some prepubescent 12-year-old guy who's just jacked up on Adderall and decided to troll a video. So, all right, guys, that's it from me. See you next time. Peace out.